You know what? If I could, I'd like to make a statement first before we start. I'd like to thank Robert Quinn for all that he meant to our defense, all that he meant to the Chicago Bears, and really specifically all that he meant to me, which was whenever you come in as a new coach, new coordinator, to have one of the older guys be on board and to echo your messages and to echo it in the locker room and on the practice field. That's a big deal. And on top of the person that Robert was, and to around the building, and the times that we just sat down and chopped it up and talked. So I wish him well. I hope he continues to have a ton of success. And if more people were like Robert, it would be a much better place professionally and personally. So I'll open it up with that with any questions.
Robert was obviously one of your team captains as well, so that opens up a leadership for it. Ryan Poles expressed yesterday confidence that he had in certain guys. Who do you see as the guys that can kind of pick up the slack and become those tone-setting guys for you?
Well, I told the guys yesterday that that they don't have to be Robert. That I still want them to be themselves. There is a void. But I'll just wait and see who fills that void naturally. As a coach, you don't want to push guys into being or doing something that they're not comfortable with or not capable of. So ultimately, there is a void, and ultimately, someone will step up. So we'll just see who that missing piece is.
Roquan was very emotional yesterday here. How do you kind of navigate those emotions of the guys who were close to him and knowing what he meant in the locker room?
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Some people say it's a business, but I say it's a people business. And so, and then I read, how do you take your emotions out of it? I say you don't. You let your emotions show. So when you lose someone that you're close to, you show the emotion. And it happens where in the NFL and really in any job where people come and people go, and there's a change of guard, so to speak. So you let your emotions flow. You wish them well, and it's not business as usual. I hate that word where you go, hey, it's business as usual. No, it's not. We still have a job to do, but we're going to miss them on a personal level and a professional level. So I think you let those things show, but when we get on the field, we focus in at the job that we have at hand.
Doesn't this make your job harder?
My job is going to be hard no matter what. That's what we signed up for. What I would say was it's an opportunity to shine. So it's an opportunity for me to shine. It's an opportunity for the coaches to shine. So I always try to take the positive part of it and look at it as an opportunity and see what we can do. See about how thick and deep and wide our foundation is.
Which player or players do you think gets the most opportunities now in terms of picking up some of the reps?
We'll see about that. Really, you got Travis, you got Gibson. That he'll be in there and see. And really, again, we're not going to shove anyone into that position. Sometimes when you miss a piece, there's someone ultimately steps up and does some things that you may not expect it because they have an opportunity. So we'll see how that all shakes out.
Along those lines, what are you most curious to see in Dom Robinson in the next stretch here as his development continues?
Mental and physical stamina, and really not just for him, but for all the guys that have been thrust into a role or have earned a role in playing time. And so for the new guys, and even for the guys maybe that have played 1 or 2 years but have played more this year, it gets to be a long year where where colleges are almost done. We're at game 7, 8, and we want to see that can they keep improving, can they keep getting better and still practice well, still walk through well, take care of their bodies, get the proper rest that they need to, and still continue to ascend.
Have you seen?
What do you like about Roquan as a pass rusher? What does he do well?
Thick body, has some power. Looks like he has some wiggle at the top of his rush. And so far, he's been able to finish and has a natural feel for getting through and picking or not picking, or he's just got a good feel. But ultimately, the production that we're getting from him has been good.
In your career, have you seen an emotional event that didn't lead to an emotional letdown? I mean, isn't that a possibility? Isn't that a concern?
I mean, the emotional event, I would say the win that we had was an emotional event. Losing Robert was an emotional event. The NFL, there are all types of emotional events. So what we would say was that whatever it is, we go to work on Monday and you have 24 hours to move past that, and then you lock it in and focus in. And I think that's one of the definitions of being a professional, is to be able to have an emotional event, because that's what the NFL is, and still come out the next week and perform well and improve.
Do you project a little bit with Dak Prescott coming back from the injury, just thinking that maybe he's going to continue to get better the longer he plays?
Yeah, I would think that, we said one of the things of a professional is that they get better. So I'm projecting that everyone gets better. And so with that, it's still not about Dak Prescott. It's still about how we execute our defense, how we run, how we hit, how we hustle, the intensity of how we get to the football, taking the football away. Whether it's Dak or anyone else, we try to look at it as a nameless, faceless opponent, and it's about the Chicago Bears defense and playing complementary football.
On the interception that Tyler made late in the game, what stood out to you about that sequence for him?
That I wish he would have scored. That we've been trying to score on defense and that type of thing. But really, what stood out to me was that I said, just keep chopping wood. That he was being killed game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that type of thing in the his PFF grade or whatever it is. I don't know, and those type of things. But out on the football field, those are plays that he made over and over and over again, and just the message to him was, it'll come, it'll come, it'll come. Don't press, don't push. Keep practicing well, and that play was just the culmination. Well, not the culmination, but how he's been practicing OTAs in camp, and he's made that same play a few times in 2 minute, in 7-on-7, in team situations. So that was a function of how he's been practicing.
What could he have done to score there?
That's mom and dad. I think that's genes. So no, the other guy was a fast guy. So that's.
How have you seen Armand Watts kind of develop as he's gotten accustomed to the scheme and what you guys are asking him to do?
Yeah, getting off the ball a little bit better. Before he was in a read position, and so he's using his hands a little bit better. He's overlapping when it's required to a little bit better. We had some plays in the ball game which we call disposition plays. It's not the position, but it's the disposition of the guy. How Flus would say his M&M principle. Do they have a motor? Are they mean? So he's, those type of things are showing up. He's getting off the ball. He's knocking his guy back. He's keeping his outside arm free, and he's making plays. So he's improving, this much each better with those type of things.
The defensive line seems to be tipping a lot of passes at the line. One of them resulted in the Roquan interception. What's the coaching point? Do you always want them to be jumping to do it? Is it when you're not getting enough pressure? Is it when you see a 3-step drop? How would you kind of describe the strategy there?
Yeah, I would hope that as we go, we'll be sacking the quarterback and not tipping. But I will take the tip balls, because our motto is, if it's a tip ball, we're going to get an interception, because we have collective bodies to the football. So that is a good thing. But you're rushing, and then you're having a feel or a sense of where the quarterback is, and you're always aiming at that point. And then when you feel that that ball is coming out, I don't want guys to jump. I do want them to get a ball side hand up, but we don't want to jump, because sometimes while you're in the air, bad things happen. And so we just want to get a hand up and see if we can tip the ball, and the guys did that. They did a great job of that last week.
When Bailey Zappi came in the the other night.
Excuse me?
Bailey's happy when he came in the other night, and he's making some big throws, and the momentum seems to be changing in their favor. What did you guys do to neutralize that, to put that out, and do you take pride in stomping that out? Because it just felt like all of a sudden the narrative had changed, and you guys pulled it out from under them.
Keep chopping wood. You know what? Keep chopping wood. We just talk about two things. That one, we want to stop the run, and I think we were doing that. And the plays that they got weren't typical pass plays, and so we said, hey, we want to make the quarterback play quarterback and not be able to have some off-schedule, unconventional plays. And then you just reassure the guys that things are okay. It's the sky is not falling. Keep executing, and that's the beauty of our guys. When we send guys the message, they echo it all the way down from D-line to linebackers to the secondary, and that's kind of the result of the type of guys that we have. That when you have those type of messages, they execute them.
Especially after the Patriots game, are you seeing less recidivism, as you called it, in the defense? In other words, do you feel like what's your big plan at the beginning of the year to install this defense? Do you feel like it's moving forward? Is this a sign that as the season ensues, you're getting stronger? No,
Yes, bits and pieces. I'm going to take it the other way. You said less recidivism. I'm going to say more execution. And so, yes, I do. I think the guys are executing more, especially the D-line. The D-line is the engine that runs this ship. And so when they play well, we play well, and they did play well last week. They don't get maybe all the accolades that everyone else gets or sees, but they have played extremely well, and the result of all those interceptions or tackles for a loss or sacks that some of the other guys got, the D-line, they're the reason.
Last one, John.
I just want to ask you one more question about Quinn. And only on one sack, 9 tackles. A lot of us would say he wasn't having a really strong season at this point. What are your thoughts about his 7 games here?
I would say no. That sometimes the impact that a person has may not be seen to the naked eye or with the naked eye or with stats. So I would say no. He was not having, meaning that hey, what continually wasn't having the year maybe that he had last year, but he was still having a positive effect on the defense. So I think he'll go into Philly, he'll be fine, and you'll see him. He was going to have, and it's still an impactful year in terms of the stats. We were working on it. We were working on improving that. We were working on doing some things to help him out. So, no, he was having an impactful year.
It was obviously a thorough offensive performance on Monday. For you, what were the most satisfying things of getting to 30 points and beyond, and the way you guys did it?
Yeah, it was more about the way that we did it, more than necessarily getting 33 points or whatever. I thought it was probably our most physical game that our guys played. We had guys go down kind of in and out of the game, and so other guys had to step in a bunch of different reps, and there was no blink, and the guys were prepared to play. So I thought that was really a really cool part about that whole day was the play style, the physicality of it, and then when you needed guys to step in and play, they were ready to rock and roll.
When it comes to the design runs for Justin in the game, how much of that was stuff that you planned to get to this season that you just hadn't gotten to versus you using the mini buy to install some new stuff that you had seen?
We've been doing it all year. I think what we do with our entire offense is we try to get the premier play against the defense, and so they presented some cool opportunities for us that we were able to kind of get better angles and stuff with the quarterback run this past week. So we wanted to make sure we took advantage of it. It didn't hurt that we had an extra day, but as far as like necessarily creating a new offense, no, we didn't do anything differently from that perspective, and we went about it the way we kind of always do in our game plan part of it, and what gives us the best opportunity, what gives all 11 guys the best opportunity to succeed. So,
how much did the hard hits he took against Washington weigh into that game plan?
Into
Game plan on Monday night with what he took all those hard hits against Washington. And then you guys
I mean, he's been taking some shots all year. I mean, I think he's gotten.
Washington was the big,
Why? I mean, geez, was that Houston? He got hit on the sideline like I've never seen anybody get hit. So this kid's been taking shots, and then it was nice though. I think if you look back or reflect on this game, you had the all-out pressure where he took a pretty wicked shot this week, but it was just limited kind of to that one. And but I think it spoke to the guys up front, kind of giving them a little bit extra time, a little bit extra space. In Washington, I think you're talking about an elite front that he had to deal with too, and so every game's different, presents different challenges, and I don't think we necessarily looked at it as we always look at it. I guess I should say we always look at how can we get him hit less. That's always kind of the most important thing that we talk about. So
Justin talked about looking at Ravens tape with Lamar Jackson and some of the things he did. What were some of the coaching?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beginning of it.
Justin told us that you guys looked at some Baltimore Ravens plays with Lamar Jackson in terms of the design runs. What were some of the coaching points that you wanted to get across in doing that?
No, that he's referring to the one play where we had the kind of the counter scheme that went into, and I think Lamar went like 70 yards on it or something like that. So that was a really good opportunity for our line to have a pretty good opportunity to get on their second level. So we wanted to kind of implement that instead of having it just our running backs do it. We wanted to have Justin do it. So I think that's the play you're referring to from this past game. But it's all any time that you're reviewing the film, because they played the Patriots obviously, and you see something that just kind of jumps off the screen like that, you got to take advantage of it.
When you dial in on Parsons from your role, what are the greatest challenges you see in the film that creates strain for you?
Oh, I mean, just his flexibility. I mean, the guy literally lines up all over the place. There's not many interior linebackers that can rush the passer in the history of the game the way that this guy can. It kind of reminds me of I think it was 14 when I was in Green Bay with Clay. When we were down, we got all these guys hurt, moved Clay to inside linebacker. I mean, that's what this guy looks like. He's amazing, and so the challenge of knowing where he's at and is definitely one of the biggest tasks and able to have success against these guys.
He moves around so much. How can you adopt some unconventional ways to try to handle him, not knowing snap to snap where he's going to be?
No, that's the challenge. That's the challenge. I guess I can't sit here and say how, but that's the challenge. You have to. If you don't, then he'll make you look bad for sure.
Luke, how do you reflect on your time with Mike McCarthy and what he meant for your career?
Oh, I mean, yeah, he's one of the most influential people in my life. There's no question. Never had really a desire ever to be a head coach in my life until I got to sit in his team meetings and look at the way that he approached the team, talked to the team, the way he was able to be himself, be humble, be confident, lead men. I mean, he was just one of the most impressive men that I've ever got to be around. So, yeah, he's a huge part of who I am for sure.
I feel like we've talked a lot about the planned runs this week, but what did you like about Justin as a passer on Monday night? And was that the most complete game he's put together for you?
I say this every week, right? But I truly think every week it just gets a little better. I know there was only 7 points in Washington, but it was probably one of our best execution games until we got inside that 5-yard line for some reason. And so I think it's just gotten better each week, and it needs to continue to get better because, again, and he's nowhere near where he wants to be or where we want him to be. But it gets better each week. He's getting more confident each week. I think not only in our relationship, our scheme, but being on the field and understanding what it looks like, what it feels like, coverages, fronts, and all that stuff. And I think just as he continues to get that experience, it'll feel better. It'll keep feeling better to him.
What could it do for his confidence? I know he doesn't lack confidence, but to go out on national TV, put it together, and be as dominant as you guys were.
Yeah, I mean, no. Any success obviously is something that is important to anybody, and as you continue to grow, it gives you a little bit of self-satisfaction that you're on the right track, right? But the kid he comes to work every single day, whatever happened on Sunday, he comes on Monday ready to rock and roll and ready to work, and he's one of the most consistent guys in this building, and so he has a way about him that's. He's going to put in the time, and he's going to do whatever it takes to help us win games when it comes to Sundays.
Is Alex Leatherwood up to speed enough if he has to play it right, if Borum can't go with a concussion, or is that going to be a Riley Reef?
No, yeah, I mean, Alex, it was a good thing that we kind of had the last week to kind of get him a little introduction, and then it's kind of like the whole, all these guys like Nikhil just not playing football for a while, kind of getting back in that football shape is a real thing. You know, Pringle's going to be going through it now. And so we got to get these guys back in shape. As far as up to speed, I think they've all done a really nice job mentally of being ready to rock and roll.
Competition for that spot then? Like if Borum doesn't play?
We haven't considered her, we haven't thought of it that way yet as far as a competition. I think we just got to let practice play out and see where everybody is. And we didn't go full speed yesterday, so we really didn't get that opportunity. So we got today and tomorrow to kind of figure all that out.
Justin mentioned yesterday how putting some of those good things on tape, like the design run stuff, moving the pocket, means now it becomes more of a challenge to replicate it because, you know, the D coordinators and the defenses have seen it. How challenging is that? What is the challenge of repeating that success and maybe making subtle tweaks so that it can be stuff that they haven't seen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just staying within who we are, what we do. Guys have a lot of reps and believe in things conceptually, and we got to keep continuing to maneuver that through. That's what this league is. I think it's teams that do too much. It's hard to be good at it, and guys like, you know, teams that are really, really good, they usually do what they do pretty well and then just make it look a little different to the defense, or defense makes it look a little different to the offense. So kind of the same thing, and that's the challenge of every coach across the league, is to find ways to do what your guys do well without letting it be so obvious or predictable.
Are you happy with Cole Kmet's production to this point? I mean, receiving production, he's doing a good job in the blocking game, but he only has 12 catches, and how can you...
If you asked me, I wouldn't even have known how many catches he had. The guy's been a stud for us. He makes critical plays. He plays as hard as anybody on this team. I mean, I was joking with our staff. I feel like whenever I get so excited when he has the ball in his hand, because the way he's so violent, and he finishes each run. I just, he's doing everything that we've asked of him. He's doing it to the best of his ability. He's being a great leader on the team too. So I'm probably always sounding cliche up here, and that's okay, because I just really love the buy-in of these guys. I mean, like I said last week, Mooney could complain about not having a touchdown either, and the guy's been just getting better each and every week in every part of his game. So, and Cole's, in my mind, doing the same.
I'm assuming that you've been around guys before who've been benched and haven't responded the way Sam Mustipher did. What does that say about him as a person and as a player, that he was able to, basically be told that he's not starting and then he's got to go right in the first quarter and play a good game?
Yeah, that's why he's who he is. And since the day we met him, the guy's been a rock. I mean, I think everybody in that offensive unit looks up to him, respects him. Not only what he knows and but how his play style, all that stuff, and the kind of teammate he is. So, zero hesitation or a belief that he wouldn't have done what he did.
What is Devin Jenkins bringing to the offense right now?
Devin's been getting better each week, man. I mean, I just love his play style. I think, this week was a really cool example of how he was finishing plays at the end of plays. Like his teammates are going down the field and they're finishing a run. He's going and knocking a guy off of the pile off of Demo, and Tevin's just been doing a really good job of buying into that style and the way we want to play, and he's taken it and made it his own. I think he's mastering his craft at right guard, so it's been good to see.
This may be a dumb question, but when you guys talk about the hot hand at running back, how do you determine that? Is it just how is he doing with the ball in his hand? Is it something a little more? What's the look in his eye?
No, I mean, I think it's we realize we have two backs that we need to get the ball in their hands, and so we're going to make sure that happens. As far as the hot hand goes, I think it's just kind of the way the game goes. Like I said in Washington, I think it was the fourth quarter. Like I didn't want to stop giving it to David. He was just killing it. And then, this week, Khalil had a bunch of really good runs. He didn't want to stop giving it to him, but it's really good that we have that. I think balance is one of the most important things that we're getting better at each and every week. And so having those two guys on our side is a big benefit for sure.
Winning the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week award.
My thoughts are that I'm extremely proud of him, extremely happy for him, extremely happy for the group. Obviously, anytime you talk about that award, and when Cairo found out about that award, just to tell you what type of character man he is, he said, it's not me, coach, it's all of us. It's the snap, it's the hole, it's the kick, it's Scalesy, putting it exactly where it needs to be to make it easy for Trent to put it down, and it's all the big boys protecting for me, and it's a team award. So I'm just proud of that group for being a part of helping us win, and we need to do that continuing forward if we want to get where we want to go. So.
How do you describe your level of comfort in Cairo, just knowing how rock solid he's been?
Yeah, I think the thing about Cairo and everybody on that unit is it's all about the next kick. So even if he just made the kick, that kick's over, and the only thing we think about is the next kick. So I guess to answer your question, like, it's great to have that comfort, and we all feel good about it, but we never relax. Once a kick is done, we always say it's never a routine play, and it's just on to the next play.
Half, some pressure came, and Cairo said that you guys made a little adjustment to take care of that. What caused the pressure, and then what were you able to do to get that short up for a longer kick in the next quarter?
Yeah, I think New England does a phenomenal job on special teams. They have for years. Historically, they're one of the best to ever do it. So they get paid too, and they coach, and and their players are good, and they got some pressure. And they did a good job with that. Our guys were great with communication. Our coaches were great with communication, and we just made a little tweak or two, and I think it made Cairo feel a lot more comfortable. And what I want in the game is for our kicker to feel comfortable and for him to do what he does best.
Was Pettis good enough for you to lock down the returner job against Dallas?
Well, I think Coach kind of, that's a great question. I think Coach kind of touched on that yesterday. So those guys are still working. They're all in practice, and we're looking for consistency there. And obviously he has a chance to practice again and show us what he can do. But we were happy with the last return he had. We were happy with the way he attacked the ball. Obviously he wasn't happy, and we weren't happy with the one that he muffed, but he got it. He got it back, which is great. But he's just got to keep working, and he's got to prove himself just like every other player.
What kind of ball security strategies, techniques do you guys work on in practice for those muffs, like to make sure they don't happen?
Yeah, so we line them up from one side of the field and run them to the other side of the field. Obviously, you can't simulate the rain that was out there, and that's not an excuse for anything. But some things you can simulate, some things you can't. But it'll take a long time in this press. We got so many drills that we do for that, but it's probably like 10 or 15 different ones they do every day.
Richard, coverage-wise this week, you guys face a good one specific to the skill set of Turpin. What do you see on video that's made him dangerous?
Yeah, I think Turpin is electric. Obviously, you guys know he's had some explosive returns this year already. In preseason, he took kickoff return touchdown to the house. He took a punt return touchdown to the house. They're third in punt return. Overall, he's second in the NFL. They're fifth in kickoff return. They do a good job on kickoff coverage, too. They're top 10 there, too. So they do a really nice job with Turpin. Turpin does a great job of catching it, attacking it. He's fearless. He can make the first guy miss. And then he also has some stop and start ability that's phenomenal. He's a really good player, and they're doing a nice job with him. They're coaching their tail off, and the guys are playing their tail off. This will be one of the best units we've faced this year, if not the best. They're outstanding, and we're looking forward to the matchup.
What stood out about Weatherford's game with you guys? Somewhat like that.
Just the tenacity and the intensity that he played with. He basically was the hits principle on display. That first tackle, we always talk about starting the game fast and trying to help our defense out if we're on kickoff, setting the tone. And for him to make that tackle that he made, he had two inside the 20, the first one at the 18-yard line. And then we talk about finishing, and he finished the game with a tackle inside the 20-yard line, a big-time tackle there. So just the tenacity and the relentless mindset that he played with was good to see from a young player and another guy standing out. I mean, on that first one, he makes that tackle. I think the defense stops him in 4 plays, and then they punt it back to us. And then offense goes 8 plays to set up Cairo for a 42-yard field goal, our first points of the game. So he started that. And then Cairo kicks off again with great hang, distance, and location is what we look for on the kickoffs. And then Ebner makes a tackle at the 21. And then they punt it back to us again. Dante attacks the ball. And then the offense takes it 8 more plays or something. And then now it's 10-0. So that's how you want to be a part of changing field position and helping that way. And I think Weatherford had that on his mind to start. And he started the game that way, and he finished the game that way. And I'm proud of him.
Is that what you appreciated most about Dante last week, the way he attacked the ball on that one play? Because that looked different.
Yeah. Typically, when you get those shorter punts, if you can get to them and you got space, those are when the big plays happen. Those are either when they're so far kicked out of beyond the coverage and there's no one down there to gain yardage on. So I really love the way he attacked the football on that particular play. Oh no, the second and the last.
Is it tough for you guys because you want to get Halas back out there because he's so fast that, but the ball security thing has been an issue. So how are you working through all that?
I think it's like any other position. They got to practice and they all got to go out there and prove that they're consistent. And when they're consistent, then they're out there. So it's not. I think it's a good problem to have, I guess, is the way to answer that question.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Going back to Cairo, he's been so consistent over the last few years. I know you talked about his mentality, but what is it that allows him to maintain that consistency? Is it mechanics? Is it preparation? Is it the mentality? What do you think it is?
The kickers that I've been around, I've been around some really good ones. I've been lucky and fortunate to be around some really good ones, starting with not starting with Phil Dawson, but Phil Dawson was like a longtime veteran that I had been around. And I see glimpses of Cairo and Phil and then other kickers that I've coached, and that's the technique. And he's a really, really good technician, so that his steps are always the same, his operation times are usually in the same area, and then when you look at field goals, you want to look at the grouping and the ball flight, or where the ball is when it goes to the goalpost. So if you got a guy that his grouping is all in the left panel, you know exactly where it is. If it's all in the right panel, then you know what you need to adjust. Rarely does Cairo have something outside the left upright or in the left panel and something in the right panel. And that's due to consistency in his steps and being a technician. So I think that and his mindset is what separates him from a lot of guys that I've been around.
An extension of that, he was totally unfazed by the weather on Monday night. I'm curious, when you first went out to the field, if you thought that was some conditions that you had to talk to him about, or how you were kind of gauging that sort of persistent mist that was out there.
Yeah, we talked about that with the group throughout the week, because we thought it would be worse than it was. And you always want to prepare your players for those situations so they don't get out there and say, oh, it's rainy, So we put the weather report up every day, all that stuff. And I thought he would come out and be a little bit different, like it would be concerned on it. But wow, when he got out there, that ball was flying off of his foot. And he was feeling good. And you could tell he was feeling good. And he was not fazed. He was talking like he could kick him even further that day. So
What's it like for you pregame to have a guy like that locked in when the conditions would say maybe there would be a little bit of anxiety?
Yeah, I'm always ready to go, but when you hear him talk like that, then you're really ready to go, after that. So I think it provided a sense of comfort for everyone, all the guys blocking for him, and then all the skill players covering kicks for him. He was a big-time force and a big-time leader in that game for us.